Well, heidi ho, welcome back to another shop day and another RV project. I think this one might be of interest to several of you, especially those that don't traditionally use your over bunk storage as a bunk, but instead want to better utilize it for storage. And that's exactly what we're going to take on here. As you can see, we've gone ahead and pulled the mattress out of here, and we never intend to use it, but instead we've got a lot of hiking packs, hiking gear, backpacking gear that we want to be able to store in this space. The thing is, when you're going down the road, we're worried about it jostling its way down and finding its way into our laps while we're heading down the interstate or down one of those forestry roads. So we're going to use what is a little atypical solution.
Yes.
We have purchased quite a bit of this Tmat utility truck bed storage system mat. And the way this works, it's like an adult size Lego set that we can construct and we can put in here, and then you can get all sorts of accessories that come along with it, like this T-shaped unit, and they just pop in to some of these X's and shapes. They sell this mat, they sell kits specific for different truck bed type of setups, or you can just go a la carte and buy pieces. They sell individual strips, which are 2 inches by 12 inches, or they sell these 12 by 12 inch panels. That being said, they can also be cut down to shape because they're fully corrugated in the back. So you could cut some weird angles in here, which we are going to have to do with this. But the other thing we want to do is we don't want to lose some of the insulation benefits that we had from that mattress. So what we're going to actually begin with is building this floor up. We're going to build this up here with some 1x2s across this space and sort of create a faux floor where we can use some Thinsulate in here to give better insulation. And then we're going to build this truck utility system for all of the storage on top of that. So anyway, I think we're going to get our Lego on. Here we go. All right, to get you a little bit caught up here, we have continued to be working on this standoff box for the insulation. And this is what we were talking about with the 1x2s, which actually measure 1.5 inches. We are using MDF here instead of pine or oak or anything else. One is for the cost, it's just cheaper, but also it's some of the straightest stuff that you can find in the lumber store anymore. It's hard to find small boards like this that are straight. And nothing here is structural in any way. So this is really just nailed together to make cavities for this Thinsulate that we're going to use. That's a scrap piece there. We've got quite a bit left over from the truck build, so we will put that in there. We don't remember the R value, but we're thinking it's a heck of a lot better actually than the mattress that was up there, just because it is intended to be insulation. The only thing real tricky to this front section so far was that we had to make a small relief for the very front, because this will sit flush with the plastic trim at the front of the RV coach there. We'll show you once it's inside, once that makes sense. So we're gonna spray some adhesive down here, get our Thinsulate on, and then we'll go back to the RV to install the mat. All right, well, it's not fastened down yet, but the center section is now in and complete. And I have to be honest, that was probably the easiest of the 3 sections that we want to create. That being said, we luck out a little bit is we are left with nearly an exact 24-inch strip down each of the sides. The thing is, it's only 24 inches at the very rear of the bunk, and near immediately it starts to taper off with a very rounded edge. So what we did before we laid even this piece in was, Alana and I worked to make a foam template. We like to use this 1/4 inch foam insulation you can get at the hardware store over cardboard. It's a little easier to cut, it stays flat and rigid, and it's easier to just draw on than some of the cardboard pieces, which seem to be a little more floppy. Anyway, as luck would have it, this does fit equally on this side, and then we will flip it over and it will go on this side over here. But as you can see, we are going to be cutting a significant portion of these panels down. So yeah, I think where we're going to begin is making the 5mm laminate piece that will go in here, and we will just use some shim boards that we have already been using to ensure that fits correctly. And then once we feel like that piece is in good shape, we're just gonna basically rinse and repeat what we have already done. So here we go. Well, the template worked out very, very well. We've got it both the lower underlayment board as well as the Tmat all cut to shape. It fits in quite well. We've pulled the middle section back just to test fit everything, but we did start to lock it together. It looks quite well. So now we need to build that bottom subsection, get some insulation under it, and then do the same thing on this side. We actually, really, the way it goes together is from right to left, the way we oriented the tracks, the way they lock together. So once we get all three sections made, we can put the mat down for the final time. The driver's side is in. So now on to the last piece. And through the magic of video, it is all now in, secured down, and honestly, we're very happy with it. We've kind of given it a shake and some tugs. It's in. We're pretty pleased. One last thing, we're still not completely done before we start to populate it. We are not happy with this look, and our intention all along was to put a little trim board or another something here. We've got a few ideas for that, so Alana and I need to converse and then wrap this project up. Well, here is what we did to cover up the unsightly end boards. Basically, we used some of the fabric from our bedroom curtain divider. We have no intention of ever using that, so we reused that fabric. Now, it's not upholstery fabric, and we are not upholsterers, so we did our best work there, but I think that tidied that up really, really pretty nicely. So let's get some stuff up here. Well, what we end up putting up here is very flexible, and that's really the whole point to doing this versus building something custom. In this case, we've got a tote here, and you can see that we still have full access to that front window. And the way it's locked in this case is I've got this little adjustable unit that would keep it locked in. These very easily pop out, and then you can see I've got two of those triangular dividers, much like this here, that are in the back. And then this is a better example of the secure adjuster. This comes forward and then can lock those in place. Now, the other thing that I don't have yet that we ordered is just a single tight fit X. And the idea with those is it's got a hole in the center, so you can make basically a screw into it and make DIY storage with this grid. But again, nothing is permanent. We can easily take everything out, which I think is going to be very beneficial. So we can use different size totes like these that we often use for like our hiking shoes, and honestly, whatever else we decide to do with it. Well, there you go. Job done for us. Hopefully you got something out of this, or you at least got some ideas on how to potentially reuse your bunk space. A couple of hints as we learned, as we started to build on this. We had quite a few cuts to make some of the custom shapes and things, and even in some of the B-roll and footage, you saw me using various saws. What we ultimately found was the best tool was a jigsaw with an actual aggressive wood grain bit, and then we used it pretty slowly. Anything that was high speed or a metal type of cutting blade, it would start to melt back together. The plastic would melt pretty bad. It does make a horrible mess when it cuts, but it cuts pretty easily. Again, alternately, they make these 12x12 panels that we used exclusively. They do make 2x12 panels. The thing is, those 2x12 panels, they're the same cost as the 12x12 panels, and when we knew we were going to be cutting so many anyway, it just made more sense for us to fill the space with 12x12s and then cut that good bit off. The other place that you're going to pick up quite a bit of cost is for all of these little pods and connectors, which is why I'm really hoping to use those little single things where I can use a 3/4x4 or some 1x type of wood to make my own divisible things. But I think this offers a tremendous amount of flexibility. What we carry with us varies on the type of trip we're going on, whether it's a kayaking type of trip, whether we're going to be backpacking or just doing day hikes. And this way we can really completely reinvent this space for however we want to use it. And that's why we went down with this path, but it isn't cheap. This was fairly expensive. So if you were going to just have dedicated storage out all the time, making an MDF or plywood type of system, that may make quite a bit more sense than buying this complete unit. Again, we weren't sponsored in any way. It was a significant investment for us, but we feel like that flexibility made it worth it in our case.
Yes.
The other thing for this project, we did complicate it quite a bit by building up and adding that 1.5 inches of insulation underneath here. But again, we really wanted to be able, we camp in the shoulder seasons a lot, so we wanted to try to keep the cab as warm as possible, and this already is a source of quite a bit of cold weather intrusion, so we were hoping that this would replace some of what we'd be losing with the mattress.
Yeah.
Now also, if you have a Class C motorhome, you know this space is usually filled with a portion of the bed. We just nixed it. We like being able to get up in and out of here. Not that we would ever do this, but it's easier on the road, like to make it to the restroom or make a sandwich with it not being there. Again, be safe. But anyway, we are pretty happy with it. Tell us what you think. Are you going to do something like this? Are you going to do something else? I don't know. We're going to get back to some other projects, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye.
Bye.